some show with a very pretty lady in it.
Love those.
And then all of a sudden she went to grab the cup of coffee or whatever because they're like,
hands.
it's talking. Oh my God. They were like the size of Buicks. They were humongous. I was like,
that was your superpower.
Like they were so big. I went, whoa. Like it was like jarringly large.
She doesn't need a man.
She didn't need nothing. I like wearing a hat. I like having a little shade over my eyes.
I left my hat on a ride, Space Mountain.
Uh-huh.
And then I walked out of the place without my hat, and I was like, what? I was so discombobulated.
Yeah.
I'm like, why can't I see? Why am I sad?
Right.
Why do I feel sick?
I feel like I wear a hat 50% of the time.
I wear a hat maybe 90% of the time.
I am trying to think. I don't know if I've seen you for any extended amount of time without a hat on.
It's my thing.
Yeah. And a sweatshirt. Even if it's it's jarring that I would see if I were to see you in a t-shirt only. I have seen it.
Yeah. In the summer, I'm like that because it's too hot.
Yeah, it's too hot.
I have like some rules about LA. Like if it's under 70, I get to wear a hoodie. If it's over 80, I have to wear shorts.
Yeah, well, I mean, those are just temperature rules.
If it's under 40, these aren't my, all my rules, but I have temperature rules that decide what I wear.
But don't fall into the Holly Clown. The Holly Clowns are the clownish people in LA who wear Ugg boots, even though it's 85 degrees outside because they're cool.
Let me just let the audience know that Dana's wearing bright pink sneakers, neon green socks.
Yep.
And then orange and pink
and yellow
plaid.
Yep.
With a blue shirt.
Oh yeah.
And brown pants.
Well,
but you're not one of these people.
Don't even step on that. This is just casual colorfulness.
Is this a look? Did you think about this?
No, I didn't want to wear a jacket.
Are you running things? Are you grabbing things as you run out of the apartment?
I didn't want to wear a sweatshirt because I had to go to the lab today and give blood, so that I didn't want to have to take the whole thing off. Like a pullover sweatshirt is what I would have had on. So I said, I'll wear this so I can take my arm out so they can draw blood. Little easier.
How do you feel? Do you feel a little...
No, although they had to take a lot. It took 6
vials.
I said, that's like a Costco size amount of blood you take. Because I had 3 different doctors.
Filling up one of those giant...
They had... Yeah, 3 different doctors put their orders in. So it was all for
everybody
all for
wants
one.
A piece of you.
They all want a piece of me. That's right. Hello, eBay.
And this is no different.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking right before we pressed record about our drinks, our beverages, because we have a lot of beverages. I overdid the beverages. I gave you 2 Diet Cokes and a coffee. You already had a coffee.
We know they won't go to waste.
Yeah, that's true. Because you usually, when I sit and have breakfast with you, you usually like to have it.
I got a water,
you get it
and a coffee, and a Diet Coke.
And usually you want 2 refills before the end of the
That's
hour.
Right. We got to get your money's worth.
Yeah.
If they're charging $5 for that Diet Coke, let's make it 3 Diet Cokes.
You weren't concerned about the soda machine and the mold?
I don't know what you're talking about.
You don't know about this?
No.
They're supposed to be really dirty, these soda machines.
Well,
where you get your soda for free.
I mean, so I'm sure it's the griddle they're cooking the food on. I mean, it's all garbage.
Well, yeah.
That's why they say don't eat out anywhere. It's all terrible.
You were talking about Diet Root Beer. What's your favorite Diet Root Beer brand?
I don't know if I have one. It's always whatever's available. I think the one I brought is, I think just A&W. That seems to be the one out here.
Do you have a sweetener preference?
I couldn't tell you.
Will you do aspartame? Well, yes, you will, because you love Diet Coke. You're not worried about aspartame.
No, I remember being at Dragon Con, and I ordered a Diet Coke. We were having breakfast in the hotel, and I was there with Trace Ballou, who from Mystery Science Theater 3000, right? And Billy West and maybe Frank Conniff, who's also from Mystery Science, and the four of us were sitting there, and I ordered a Diet Coke, and then Billy West went on this
tear,
like 10-minute, like, gorillas fall out of trees from eating this. And I finished my Diet Coke, and then like he turned away for just a split second, right as the waitress came over, and she's like, "You want another one of those, honey?" And like Trace locked eyes with me, like, "What are you gonna do? Are you gonna listen to Billy West, or are you gonna you're gonna follow his health advice or not?" And I ordered another one, but Billy was not looking at the time. But this is fantastic. I was recording for the Thundermans yesterday, or Friday, and I was like, oh yeah, we were talking about just being in the studio, and Jed, the creator of the Thundermans, was there. And he said, oh yeah, I remember he was the showrunner on this Nickelodeon show called Barnyard. Okay? It was like, Nickelodeon animated show. They're all chickens and ducks and whatever they are, cows. And he said, back in his cocaine-fueled days, Billy West, at the height of he's not shy about that. He used to have a wild past.
I have a story about Billy West and cocaine.
He got so hot in the record. Now, bear in mind, he was not a regular on this show. He came in to do a guest spot. He was so hot, he took his shirt off and pressed his chest against the glass in the booth to like cool his body down. And then I could just sitting in there for the rest of the record, because I'm there by myself, just picturing. We were trying to think what that movie was. There's some movie like Midnight Express or something.
Permanent Midnight.
Is that what it was? Where the girlfriend like rips her shirt open and presses her boobs against they're like in jail. He's at where the phones and they're looking at each other. I'm thinking about the writer
of Alf, who was the heroin addict, played by Ben Stiller.
There's some iconic movie pseudo, and it might be Midnight Express, but like the girlfriend visits him in jail. And she feels so bad for him, she opens her shirt and presses her boobs against the glass, as if that would help you.
Might make things worse.
But that's all I kept thinking was Billy West doing that. Like, just dripping in sweat, his body like the color of, like, beet red, and, like, what's he doing? Like, the voice of a mouse or something, like,
he's doing an M&M.
But he's just like sweating and like, it was so ridiculous to me.
I was at a con, I think it was Dragon Con, but it was in the early years of Adult Swim, and I was like, let me do the con. I'll host it. I'll make a presentation. Give me an editor. I'll make a reel. They were like, ugh,
They never wanted to do it.
Well, I don't know if that changed, but in the early years, they were just like, ugh, we don't want to do it. Okay, fine, you do it. We'll give you some swag to hand out.
Yeah.
I like ran into the room. I was throwing those, I don't know if you remember Adult Swim in the beginning, we had those compressed t-shirts that were like little hockey pucks. You put water on them and they expanded into a t-shirt.
I didn't know that. I think I do vaguely
really early merch.
Those.
Early merch.
I have a whole tub of the earliest merch that I would just get as much as I could and throw it in there, and it's like a treasure chest up in my attic.
Yeah, hold on to that. When I was going through COVID, I sold everything.
Did you?
But anyway, I ran.
Now you wish you didn't, right?
No, I survived because I was selling C-Lab scripts and Aquatine scripts and stuff because I couldn't tour. But I ran into the room. I was throwing these shirts at everybody, and I was like on fire because I was on coke. And I had just taken a lot of coke before I had done my presentation at the con. And Billy and I did a show together, I think for Ken Plume. And
no doubt.
And Billy said to me afterwards, he's like, I can see that you're having an experience. I see that you're having a time. And for some reason he was able, because I was being very covert about it, except that I was very hyper. But yeah, he knew all the telltale signs. He's like, here's my sponsor.
Wow.
No, he didn't say that. But he was basically like, he could tell right away that I was on coke, trying to act like I wasn't on coke. And he was like, yeah, I know, because I'm Billy West.
Did you, right?
I'm the king of Coke. I'm the king of Coke.
Did you take your shirt off and press it against the glass somewhere to cool down?
I did.
Good.
I did do that.
It's a classic cocaine cool down move.
Yeah.
Find a large piece of glass somewhere inside a building, not an exterior window.
If the bathroom floor isn't available. I keep on thinking of Michael J. Fox in Bright Lights, Big City when he opens up the medicine cabinet and he finds the Valium and he's like, V for victory.
I don't remember that movie. I kind of do. I mean, I remember the poster because it was always up at my local video store, which was the video store in Las Vegas, Video Time, that Dana Plato robbed.
Oh my goodness.
It was that one. That was my video store.
That's when video stores were really cooking and had a lot of cash.
Mm-hmm. That was the big thing. That was the hot spot.
You weren't there that day, were you?
No, I wish. I think maybe even happened once I was in college. So I was already away from Las Vegas.
What was the Gary Coleman movie where he lives in a locker and he bets on horses?
Yeah. And it's with is it with Robert Guillaume?
I don't know, but his locker was filled with pornography that he lived in. All the walls were just like tons of naked women, like centerfolds.
I just remember the line. He's like, "What if you suffocated?" And he's like, "It's impossible. I got nails and hammer. I'll make some air holes." I was like, "Oh, this kid really." I'm watching. I'm like, "This kid really thought of everything." And my kid, who's like probably older than me in the movie, he was 42. Yeah, what was that? It wasn't. There was one that was like the kid with the 2000 IQ.
Yeah, which is not to be confused with the computer head wore tennis shoes.
Yes. Which were we talking about this?
No.
Urban legend, but still possible. Walt Disney's dying last words. Kurt Russell.
Ah.
And I think also on his desk there was like a piece of paper that just said Kurt Russell, like that he had wrote his name for some reason before he left his office for the last time.
I had surgery in that hospital.
Oh, my daughter was born in that hospital.
So I was like looking for. I was like, where did Walt Disney die? And they're like, I don't know.
The room we're putting you in. We call it the death room.
I just wanted to find some sort of like, memorabilia. I'd been to his birth home in like Missouri or I don't know where.
Oh yeah,
was.
Marceline, Missouri. But there's also another house that is in Illinois. That's like they've turned into more of a place it's the Walt Disney birthplace. It's like where he was born when his father was building the World's Fair in Chicago. But then he grew up in that Marceline, Missouri. And then I think they moved to Kansas
like Edgar Allan
City.
Poe, where it's just like he's got 17 houses.
Right. He slept in this room probably at some point. Yes. Yeah. What were you talking about that? Wait a minute.
You were talking about Kurt Russell.
Yeah, Kurt Russell.
And No, you were talking about the kid with a 2000 IQ and Gary Coleman. Well, how many Kurt Russell movies had he made for Walt Disney, or Kurt Russell movies had been made for Walt Disney at the point of his death?
Well, I don't know.
Or was he like, you should cast him?
No, I think
and then it led to him being in like a bunch of stuff, because he was in like 10 things.
Yeah, but I think like, I know he did one of those like, it's the 10th anniversary of Disneyland, like for TV, but like Kurt Russell was one of the kids like, come on, we'll show you around this new cool place called Tomorrowland.
Yeah.
You know, wow, that's a real groovy jungle cruise.
And he's singing like Sugar Sugar or
yeah, and it's like him and Jodie Foster walking around or something. Yeah, because I feel like those like the Medvale College movies were maybe after Walt Disney was dead. Like in the 70s. Early 70s, maybe, right? There's some great ones on Disney Plus.
We really shouldn't get into it because this isn't a Disney podcast.
No, it's a life. This is a life affirming.
A slice of life.
That's right.
But
anyway.
We could easily, when we have breakfast, it's usually just about Disney parks is what we're talking about.
I got 3 boxes in the mail yesterday from Heritage Auctions from items I won in their December auction. And I bought one thing for $1. That's why I bought it. It's a sign that was used at the resort, the Saratoga Springs Treehouse Villas. Apparently they redid it to like Victorian, but it was $1. So I was like, all right, I'll just get it. It was $1. This thing showed up. This thing is bigger than that television right there. It's like 2 feet by 4 feet. It is humongous. It's made of solid wood. It's painted blue with like an old high button shoe on it and just says cobbler under it. I thought it'd be little. I thought it'd be like, this is stupid, but for $1.
Now I got to buy a barn.
I mean, I don't know what this thing's going straight into storage. I don't know what I'm going to do with it.
I actually, the last time I went to the parks, that's what I was really into was the signs. And because I know that like one woman carves it all.
Oh.
And, you know, but that's what I was really into, all these amazing wood signs.
Yeah.
Like that's awesome. Better. That's better than the building that it's connected to, or, you know.
My friend's, actually, he was the engineer for probably 70% of the Aqua Teen episodes I ever recorded.
Mm-hmm.
Jody is his name. But his wife is an Imagineer, and she does all the signage.
Oh, cool.
Like, usually it's a department of 1. When they were doing, like, Shanghai, it was a department of, like, 6, because not only did they have to do every sign, but they had to do it in 3 different languages. Because it was English and whatever, Mandarin, and then whatever the other one is. Shanghaiese or something. She's like, we've done the double.
We never have to learn.
Yeah, Cantonese, Mandarin, and English.
Nice save.
I was in there somewhere. Just had to, you know. But yeah, she I think alone did every single license plate in Cars Land. And there's like that one building that's covered in license plates. So she's
like in prison.
Yeah. I mean, basically like, hey, you're an Imagineer. Yeah, I've been making license plates like a prisoner, but if the prisoners also had to come up with the numbers on them and no duplications, they all have to be different. So she'd be like, what's your every person that worked in the building was like, what's your birthday and initials, and like just any combo, because she knew it would kind of be different. Anyway, sorry, I got off track.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
But this is like a brand new podcast, and hopefully we do this on a weekly basis.
Award-winning, I like to say.
Well, it's not. It hasn't.
No.
Nobody even knows.
You gotta put it out there. You gotta put it out there.
Are there awards?
So you say, welcome back. And then they think there's a whole back cannon that they just didn't get hip enough to.
I did have a podcast that I made, but it was like I made it during my divorce. I was still too angry. I was still in my villain era. I was yelling at people, telling them to get the fuck off the stage if they didn't know the trivia question. And I'm like, you know what? I had 50 of them, and I aired like 5 of them, or 4 of them, or something. And then I was like, I don't want.
Where would you do them during your?
I would
concerts?
do them during my concerts. Yeah,
oh.
I would be my own opening act by doing a podcast, and it just infuriated people because they wanted to see the show.
Yeah,
and they're like, what is this?
There's always this asshole talk and scream at people for how long was it?
It was
an hour.
We did an hour.
No.
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
I don't know. I don't recall. I blocked it all out.
And you did it before.
I did it before the show, yeah.
I mean, that seems like the smart way to do it. However, if you went to an MC Chris concert, maybe after the concert, then you can say like, and for those of you interested, I'm going to be doing my podcast now after this dynamic show I've just filled you with energy and love with.
You got to do the merch table, and then everyone's kind of filing out and trying to get home before they get a DUI, and
but
you don't want to like go to a rock concert and then like, oh, let's sit down.
Yeah, but here's the thing: if they're going to get a DUI, like let's say if it's 2 hours, how long is your concert? An hour?
About.
So it's like 2 hours of entertainment. If they're going to have
unless I'm cooking,
if they're going to have
maybe I'm just
an hour and a half.
Maybe I'm not,
or shorter.
Maybe I'm not going home.
Oh yeah. Got that Billy West.
I got that 2-hour concert, and there's that guy in the front row is just like, my legs are shaking. But
I would think, if they're going to have the same amount of booze.
Well, it's a trapped audience, but it was a bad idea. I don't know if I'd do it again. I know that I wouldn't. But it was also kind of ahead of its time because it's like everybody was doing touring podcast shows.
Yeah.
Which is the ultimate goal here. If we want to put something out, we want to put out that
and
Dana and I want to come to your town, do this live.
Yeah. And we go enough places. We go to cons and stuff. It'd be easy
to travelers.
It'd be easy to tack a date on here or there.
I'm sure we'll figure it out.
I'm going to Miami next week. Could have done it there.
Coulda.
Next time. We're gonna go again there. There's one in, what is it? New Orleans.
I figure we'll build some momentum. We'll get an audience. We'll see if we can
get 5.
So we get people to follow us online.
As long as there's more people that are in the room right now, which there are 3 of us.
Yeah.
Ivan, you, and myself. And I'm even counting Tony, who's in the other room. God knows what he's doing over there.
Tony's listening. He's be like, we're only going to do this once.
Yes. It's like, this is done.
They have no...
He's seen a lot of miles in the podcast roads.
He can tell right away.
He can smell it on you.
It's like speed dating.
Yeah. It's like Tony. When you walk into an agent's office and they're like, well, you're not getting the fucking part, but let's go through this charade anyway.
Look at what you're wearing.
No, I'd love to hear you do those lines
this guy's not wearing pink shoes.
Yes, that's right.
There's no way he's going to get cast.
That guy's super dynamic. He's definitely getting...
The whole idea, though, is that we're going to be doing this every week. This is supposed to be a rewatch podcast. But, I like...
A lot of those are not really... Also, then, if you're going to rewatch it on the thing, it's like... You got assholes sitting in your living room talking over the movie. Well, it's like, shut up, dummy. I just want to watch this.
We're not going to do that.
No, I know.
But did you watch it?
I've watched it, yes.
Oh my God. I was totally expecting you not to have watched it.
I've seen that episode. Also, that episode I've probably seen more than any other episode of Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Because it was the first one and it changed the most. And I was excited to see what it was because it was the first one. And then I was like, see how the rest of these go.
Yeah, well, before we get into it, as the kids say.
Is this like the podcast before your concert?
Before we start having fun, let's not have fun.
Okay.
But there is another rewatch podcast called Dancing is Forbidden. And
yes.
Ronnie, who hosts it, was supposed to be our guest on today's premiere episode. He was going to give us some pointers and some tips about how to do a podcast. He's unavailable because I guess having an Aqua Teen Hunger Force podcast does not pay the bills.
Usually, I think that's a high sign of success. So he's probably in meetings full morning to night with synergy meetings of his Aqua Teen rewatch podcast. Agents calling, like those
He's a busy guy.
Yeah. It's driving me crazy who he is.
Because you can't think of him?
I can't think of him.
Well, you might be thinking of somebody else like Craig T. Nelson or something. And
I'm always thinking of Craig T. Nelson.
I am too.
I had dinner with him once.
No way.
Yes, I did.
Isn't he a staunch conservative? Although we're the goal here on the podcast is that we're not going to be getting into politics.
This was back in the days when no one cared
what everyone's affiliation was.
Yeah, we were at Joe O'Flair. We were at Joe Allen's in New York. My friend had directed a show, and I think either he was in it or his wife was in it or somebody. But just the way it worked out, we ended up sitting next to each other. There was only like 6 people at the dinner, and by dinner it was like a theater dinner, so it's like 11 o'clock at night. Everybody got done with the show.
All the actors are in the back room. They're like, Craig T. Nelson's here. Craig T. Nelson's here.
Well, it's like Joe Allen's is like, the classic New York after theater drink and dinner. But a lot of people used to go there after the theater, like people doing the stuff. In fact, my dear friend Fred, God rest his soul, got kicked out of Joe Allen's one night. And he was a very regular person in there because Lauren Bacall sat down next to us. And he did this right as the waiter was going. And he was like, "Can I get you something to eat, Miss Bacall?" And he went, but on this glass, it was like, ting, ting, ting. "I'll have the fancy feast." She used to do those cat food commercials.
Mm-hmm.
And she was livid. So I got kicked out. We didn't, but he did. For one night only.
If you want to know who any of these people are, that'll be in the notes.
Google it.
It'll be in the notes.
Ivan's got no clue what the hell we've been talking about, but he doesn't have to.
Ivan's on his
He's got
phone.
that gamer chair. He's doing his Scrabble.
He's doing Candy
Scrabble
Crush.
by friends. He's playing Fortnite. Got all kind of shit going on. He doesn't need this.
So
that's probably a good job, right? You get to you just let these assholes talk about themselves, and you don't have to really you got a little bit at the beginning and at the end. Then it's send a file or something.
He touches everything. Yeah. He's like, I got to make sure this is...
Yeah, does that a lot.
These cameras are ready.
You just got to make sure you're doing this all the time.
No, we don't.
Yeah, like your mom.
Okay.
You guys want free video? No. Thank Christ, because that's a real pain in the ass.
Because I got to stand.
Yeah, multicam. I got to focus stuff.
I had been working on Aqua, C-Lab 2021 in New York City for a year before the premiere. And I don't think I saw Aqua Teen until we had moved to Atlanta and we're in the cotton mill lofts, which is a fun place to work. It's you and a bunch of ghost children.
The cotton lofts is where the C-Lab guys were, right?
Mm-hmm.
With that post.
Yeah.
That pole with all the broken technology on it.
Yes.
Which I've seen pictures of. Heard Matt Thompson talk about that.
Yeah. And so I remember it was playing on, they had a digi-beta of Aqua Teen, and it was playing. And I saw, I remember laughing at Carl saying, my hips. Oh. And then that joke went into C-Lab, and Dave was pissed at Adam that they had just blatantly stolen a joke. And already there was a problem.
I remember the first time I did a voice on the Venture Brothers, Dave got real mad about it. And then only then, I'm going to say real mad, but because it was just my voice. He's like, that's our Shake voice. I'm like, well, no, it's my voice. First off, if we can break it down. But then I found out that I had almost gotten other jobs. Now, and bear in mind, this is the first job I ever did that was a voiceover on a cartoon. I had almost gotten other jobs at Adult Swim for some other things. Not tons, but a couple. And Dave, from what I was told, not by Dave, but Dave said you were his. We couldn't use you for that. And I was like, what?
You're like the Gimp in Pulp Fiction.
Yeah. I'm just in the box. Yeah, let me out for another Aqua Teen episode.
They unzip the mask.
Yeah. But I was like, man, what? Where's he get off?
How old were you did you audition for Aqua Teen?
Uh-huh.
How old were you when you auditioned?
I don't know.
You and I are the same age.
It came out in 2000.
So you must have been around 25.
But I think, something like that.
25 or 24.
I wasn't married. I had no children. I was happy.
You lived in New York?
Skipping around town. Yeah.
You're just skipping down the sidewalk.
Yeah.
I'm free. I'm free. Everyone's like,
buying cigarettes for 15 cents a pack and,
oh my God.
Eating salami all day. And
when I moved to NYU, the first thing I did was I bought a carton of Marlboro Reds.
Yeah. Had you smoked before? No. You were just like, I got to start smoking. I remember when I moved to New York. Yeah. A pack of cigarettes was $3.85.
That you remember, but not your age.
Well, I don't remember how old I was when I was. I moved to New York in 1996.
We were there at the same time. I was still at NYU.
Yeah, I moved there in 96 because I graduated that year in 1996. I moved there after the summer. And then I think Adult Swim premiered in 2001, but I must have auditioned in 2000 or maybe 1999.
99 or 98.
Because I remember, I think it was New Year's of 2000 that
they aired it.
They aired it before midnight.
For tax purposes.
So I remember being at my parents' house in Las Vegas on the phone with my friend. He was wherever he lived in Missouri or something. And I was like, it's going to come on next. And they were showing 3 or 4 or maybe even 6 or 7 different pilots, all in various stages of done. And I was like, wow, that one's awesome. Then the next one was like, wow, that one's really great. This one's super funny. And then the Aqua Teen one came on and just like, it was half done.
You were watching all the UPN shows?
Oh, it was, yeah. Then I turned out, wait a minute. This is UPN.
Mission Hill and Home
Mission
movies.
Hill, the Clumps.
The Clumps, I don't
But
remember.
yeah, it was like, there would just be sections and it said like, scene of Master Shake rolling on ground. But I mean, just literally the text, like, because they did not have animation for it yet. And there was a couple like pencil tests.
And not knowing that it was going to be on. And just, there must have been somebody who must have been like, this has changed my life. What is this? I need more of this.
Yeah.
Hey, so this is Chris, and we don't have any advertisers or sponsors yet for this podcast. So if you'd like to be one, contact us at mattersnotpod@gmail.com, and we will be happy to create an ad for you. There's lots of different ways to follow us online. We are everywhere. So mattersnotpod, @mattersnotpod is going to be on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Blue Sky. We also have a Facebook fan page. Just search None of This Matters, and you should be able to find it. We'll have a better link for that soon. But if you'd like to make an ad, please contact us, and please follow us on all of our social media applications. Thank you. Bye-bye.
I think it was like Lazo was like, wait a minute, I can make this show for $30,000 an episode. Great.
Yeah, that's one of the things I noticed when watching the pilot. I was like, man, these things look cheap.
Oh, I mean, no offense to anyone.
And they weren't even as long as a whole show.
No.
It was like you get half a show, and it's poorly made.
Yes. I still don't like the look of Aqua Teen. I like my cartoons cartoony.
Yeah. I grew up on Hanna-Barbera and all that stuff.
Like, I don't even I can recognize there's good design in all of them, but like they're a little bit too realistic.
Yeah.
I want you like even Venture Brothers.
Backgrounds are very
great designs.
The backgrounds are always kind of photorealistic.
Yeah, like I mean that
like
living
2D.
room, and like it's very realistic. It doesn't look,
Bob is upset with you.
I know, and I love Bob.
I love Bob too.
He does a great job.
He came into Euclid Avenue Yacht Club one day and he's like, "You lost 50 pounds." It's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me.
At Euclid Yacht Club.
Yeah. Well, I don't remember much of what it
is. That's the yacht club with the world famous diarrhea-inducing Brunswick stew,
which I had to have explained to me by the other Georgians that were there.
Of like what it is.
What is this and why is it different from stew? And like they're like, oh, it's worse.
Yeah, how did they describe it to you?
Stew, but bad. No,
if anybody doesn't know,
they loved it, of course, because they're all like the children of hunters.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically it seems like it's stew, but with barbecue,
with like tomato
instead
sauce.
of.
It's got like a red tomato base.
Yeah, and it's kind of sweet almost on the verge.
I disliked it.
It's stew. I ate it.
But back to New York.
Speaking of diarrhea, back to New York.
You were what made you move to New York?
I graduated college. I moved there. I did theater.
Your plan was Broadway.
Always.
I'm a Broadway baby.
I don't know if it was Broadway, but I wanted to go work regional theater. I like the idea of like going out of town for a month or two and doing a show at some place and this thing. That was very appealing to me.
Wow.
But I wanted to just live in New York.
Your sights were they were kind of low.
Yeah, well, I mean, they were what I wanted. It was manageable.
What did you major in theater in college?
I had a BFA in musical theater.
Aha.
So I was like ready for it. I actually left school early because I got cast in a show that I got my union card at the Cincinnati Playhouse in the Park. So I basically left school like a month early to go do that. But the upside was I was going to get to New York with my union card, which can be a very big, daunting thing to get because it's like, well, you got to get cast in a union production to buy the card. How do you get cast? We got to audition for it, but they're union auditions that you can't audition for because you're not union. So it's like that catch-22 thing. Like, I think, and a lot of shows will have non-union rolls in them, but they're usually like to get the paper guy, like, Terry, can you get that paper for us? Right away, sir. That's your line. And then you leave and come back later with a paper that says the Duke's been shot or, whatever the thing is.
When did you start being in musicals and plays?
I mean, I did them since high school. I think the first one I was in, I played General Tom Thumb in Barnum. That was our freshman year.
I was the mayor twice in junior high, once in Wizard of Oz, and then in Bye Bye Birdie.
Wait a minute. Is there a mayor in the Wizard of Oz?
I remember it was my first time.
Who's the mayor?
Yeah, the mayor of the Munchkin City.
Oh.
And
I was thinking like I'm the mayor of Oz. I'm like, I think it's the Wizard of Oz.
I remember making out for the first time with one of the members of the Lollipop Guild.
No.
Backstage.
Not the Lollipop.
The
Lullaby League?
No, the Lollipop Guild.
Oh, they had gender fluid lollipop.
Yeah.
In the movie, they're little dudes.
Well, that would have been okay.
Okay.
But that wasn't the case at the time.
Okay. All right. I get it. You're progressive. This is a progressive production
podcast.
Of The Wizard of Oz.
So I remember making out with Ginger Blowbomb.
Whoa.
Quite a name.
Whoa.
And I remember the shop
Please
teacher.
just hold for 1 second. I just need to really drink that in for a minute.
It's true.
It's kind of a disappointment when you say you're only making out with someone named Ginger Blowbomb.
Yeah.
Sounds
like...
I
found out she had blown this guy named Eric Casey.
Ginger Cocksucker.
No.
Or Steve Breastdiddle.
Yeah. But I found out that she had blown this other guy, and it was very upsetting to me because I thought that, whatever happens inside someone's mouth stayed there forever. The cum was there.
So basically, you were just
forever.
Imagining you with his.
I'm like
wiener
juice
still in your mouth.
My tongue
you
cleaned her mouth. You're going.
You cleaned her mouth out for her.
I investigated the crime scene.
Yeah, Ginger's a great kisser. She's got a lot of hair in her mouth for some reason. Seems real weird. But it was nice.
So the shop teacher walks in.
Oh.
And we were on the steps. And he walks in and he steps over us. He doesn't say stop or anything.
Yeah, well, free country.
What shop teacher would?
Yeah, that's right.
But I remember thinking, this doesn't taste...
What a mouse should taste like.
I thought it would taste like bubble gum or candy or something. But it just tastes like flesh, which is tasteless.
Yeah, unless...
Because there was a lot of pressure in junior high to French kiss. French kiss somebody.
I did it on a bus trip to Disneyland.
Of course you did.
Our junior high bus trip. They'd put us all on the bus. Then we'd drive, you'd have to leave at it was real shitty how they did it. But you'd leave the school at 3 or 4 in the morning. And then you'd be to Disneyland by 8 or 9 in the morning. And then you'd have to leave at 8 at night and drive back. Because they're not putting these little junior high animals into hotel rooms of any way, shape, or form. It's just you get off the bus, you go play, and then you get back on that damn bus, and we're dropping you back off at midnight or something. But at least we got to do it.
I want you to all explore each other's bodies.
Yes. Now listen, you got to get on this bus, okay? This is a time for exploration. You got 4.5 hours. I'm not going to say don't rush into it.
I know you're all scared. I know you're scared right now.
You're all scared.
Especially those of you that will not get an opportunity today.
Some of you have breasts. Fine. Some of you don't. That's okay. Some of you will not get to see any of the boobs. Some of you will.
In fact, the kids that aren't going to be going for it, I want you to sit up with me. And
sit up in the front.
And we're going to be talking about
school
shit.
We're going to watch the computer wore tennis shoes while everybody else is dry humping in the back.
How'd it go? What was her name?
Aubrey. I won't say her last name out of respect.
Had I not said Blowbomb, we wouldn't have the best part of the podcast.
Trust me, it's the name. The last name is not a Blowbomb level last name.
It was Smith.
Yeah, I mean basically. Let's call her Chloe Smith.
Was it a relationship that you were already in, or was it I'm gay if you are?
It's interesting because I think it was kind of like a Yeah, I think it was like a junior high relationship.
So it was like maybe 3 days in of 7?
Yeah, like I can't remember any
those
of
things had a fast turnaround.
You'll notice I don't have any mind for like placing things in chronological order or how long something, like I just can't. I'm like time blind or something like that. Date blind. I'm calendar blind.
Time blind. That's a good idea.
So I never like can really remember. Every once in a while my friend was like, no, remember that was 10th grade? I'm like, how do you remember that was 10th grade?
That wasn't last year.
Yeah, like it was either last year or 30 years ago. Well, I have only 2 go-tos.
So you and Aubrey, who was the initiator?
Aubrey was Chloe Smith.
She was fast and loose?
She was fast. She came out of the gate ready to win. You know what I mean?
No.
She was like all the way.
Yeah.
Good upstanding Mormon girl, by the way. Yeah. All the Mormon girls were like that.
Yeah.
Or a lot of them.
Yeah.
They were like, let's do it. Let's get this going.
And what did you think?
Fantastic. I also do kind of remember being a little bit like, meh, that's it. Like, I thought it was going to be some, really, really earth-shattering, thing. And I was like, it's a little bit gross. Because it is, I couldn't get past a little bit like, this is someone else's mouth. And she is very clean, nice teeth, clean teeth, but it's still like one of your holes for dumping things. At least it's the one you're dumping things into. That's one way of looking at a mouth. Yeah, I mean, it's
one way.
What you're like, your intake exhaust. Like,
I remember in junior high, we would go to the roller rink.
Oh.
And that is where all of the courtship was done, at the roller rink. Yeah. And I was so scared about kissing. And I had a girlfriend. We were both in the 6th grade play together. She was an elf. I was an elf.
What play was this?
Skullduggery at the North Pole. It wasn't like a play. It was like one of those.
It was like your drama teacher wrote it and then sold it to the school. One of those
things made just for schools that are bad.
It has a cast of 65 kids. 3 kids play Santa simultaneously.
I got her a ring from Sears. I remember that. That was a big deal. And the lady behind the counter was like, this is the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life. But I got her a ring, and then it was time to skate. And of course, we were always going with a couple that was like fucking. Right. They were like skating backwards and tonguing each other and
fingering each other as they're skating. Like, yeah, couple skating.
And they would skate by us fingering each other. And I'd be like, I'm afraid to hold hands. My hands are sweaty. Yeah, I'm sweating.
Look what I do with my hands, buddy.
And they're like,
you want to be over here.
They're like, you want to chew her gum. She'll give you her gum and you chew it. And then you do it and you be like, this gum has no flavor. The gum is not fresh. You're giving me a little.
She sucked all the flavor out of it.
Giving me a little chewy rock to chew on. And then I remember saying giving so many excuses. Oh my God, I have asthma. I have a brace in my mouth. I don't want to.
A brace?
I don't want to cut
What's
you.
A brace?
Like braces.
Oh, braces.
It was like a retainer, but no plastic part.
Yeah. Wow.
And I was just coming up with every excuse under the book as to why I am not ready. And then one day, I think we were in this house where there would eventually be a double homicide.
Oh.
But
unrelated, I'm hoping.
Yeah, well, I was driven into a frenzy.
Yeah, I got those first touch of those lips. I just 12 hours out, I wake up, everyone's dead. And I just had, all they found was a flavorless piece of chewing gum in your mouth.
Yeah, but they said, we were down in the basement. They said, Chris, come up here. I went upstairs. They said, close your eyes. I closed my eyes. And then I felt I got a kiss on my mouth. And then they're like, okay, go back downstairs.
Oh, yeah, one of those.
They were just using me.
There's a lot of like those
so
weird...
we could have progressed. Yeah. There was like a social progression. If you hadn't kissed, if you had Frenched, if you had done oral,
the levels.
Had you
the levels.
Fucked.
Yeah. I like to think, though, we know it's not true, but that like that couple you were talking about that were basically pregnant and You know,
when he's delivering a baby while they're skating past us.
Yeah, baby, that's what we're doing. We're naming it after you guys. Don't
Remember
worry.
to breathe, baby.
Yeah,
they're like
come on, baby.
11 years old.
Yes, but that they were the exact same thing. They just had this. Because you and your insecurity, everyone else looked like they were far more advanced about it than you were.
I felt like it was like
whereas maybe they were
roller rink.
Yeah, they were like the same exact level as you, but you were just so inwardly shy about it that your perception at the time was that these two.
I thought everybody was fucking.
Yes, right.
And everybody was an anti-drug movie.
Right.
They, everybody was doing coke.
Yes.
And everybody was smoking weed in the woods.
Cocaine-fueled 11-year-old orgies.
Everything was Miami Vice.
Right.
Everyone's doing drug deals. Everyone's having sex. And I'm like, I think I still want to watch Thundercats. I'm not ready to grow up.
Yes. I definitely remember all the roller rink courtships and the couples dance. And they'd always do that, or couples skate.
We'd have dances, and I would go out and I'd dance with the girl who would dance. We were the two people that danced, and everyone's like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Because you were dancing.
Because we both love to dance, and it was not allowed.
Fast dance.
Yeah, well, we'd get out there, we start dancing like MTV. And everyone was just looking at us like.
Now, with this girl you danced with, I feel like that's a good commonality between
She was a girl.
Was she your girlfriend, or she was just your friend?
She was a girl from out of town, so she didn't know that I was lame.
Ah.
She didn't know that I sucked, and everyone knew that I sucked.
She was like, "Who's this cool dude?"
She's like, "This guy's got moves." But everyone else is just like, "I can't believe she's standing that close to the booger kid."
she's dancing with booger kid.
Yeah.
Why are your hands sticky? Shut up. Keep dancing.
Yeah. So I didn't know you weren't supposed to dance. But I was a dancer. I loved musicals. I loved singing. I loved to dance. I loved all this stuff.
Do you dance good?
At the time, I was great.
Do you think you are still?
No.
Like at a wedding. You go to a wedding.
No.
You're a guest at a wedding, and it's...
I'm like Chris Farley. I'm like drunk and spinning around and crashing through tables and, I actually not anymore because I'm sober, and I don't go to weddings anymore because all my friends are
because you crashed through all the tables.
They're all divorced now. But
I loathe dancing. I hate it. I'm terrible at it.
So you'd be against the wall.
I'd be against the wall.
What if somebody asked you to slow dance?
That's as far as I'll go. Which
is basically just rocking back and forth.
Yeah, holding hips or shoulders and rocking back and forth.
Which I learned how to do from Silver Spoons.
Oh.
That was like my guide to all sex things. That was my Three's Company.
And then when the train goes into the tunnel.
When I went to the Playboy Mansion on a date, I was invited by a centerfold playmate, but she was like a cyber playmate. And
what's that mean?
I don't know. It was like, the mid-early aughts. And so they're online. So she was online.
Oh.
Maybe they had a book that was just like cyber co-eds or who knows.
Okay.
Who knows what it means. It doesn't mean like they're dressed up in futuristic clothing.
I try and figure that out because I have a friend, Sharon. She was in Playboy as some, but like not in the magazine.
Not top tier. She was like...
Like, I don't get it. I mean, she's wildly attractive. She's a burlesque
But anyway,
lady.
At the end of the night, they bus you to the mansion, and then they bus you back to the parking garage.
You got to park in that UCLA.
And I'm waiting. We're waiting for the bus, and a limo pulls up, and out comes young Indiana Jones and Alfonso Ribeiro. I don't know if that's his name.
Ribeiro.
But
who's young Indiana Jones?
I can't think of his name, but that's who he was. He was in Boondock Saints too. But they both get out of a limo.
Shia LaBeouf?
No, they pick up a couple of chicks and then they go.
River Phoenix?
No, that's from the TV show, Indiana Jones Chronicles.
Oh, they were talking TV celebrities. I'm thinking
he was in Boondock Saints, which is popular.
Okay.
But anyway, they both get out of a limo. They corral a couple of scantily clad women, and they get back into the limo, and it drives away. But seeing Alfonso, who was dressed as a monk, and he was so drunk that his eyes were going in different directions like a fish. But I remember seeing him, and I'm like, man, I thought you were the best dancer back on Silver Spoons. You could dance like Michael Jackson. and it was like the coolest thing in the world. But now I look at you and you look like a Name of the Rose.
you fucking googly-eyed monk, you.
Yeah, googly-eyed monk.
I was on a plane with him, and the plane had those pods, sleep pods. And we got a pod. We were in the pods, but he was there with like his 2 daughters who were very little. They all had pods, and he like would not stop talking to them. Like, Sherry, are you all right? Okay, Sherry's all right. Now, Taylor, are you okay over there? And like 6-hour flight, nonstop. Next time, just sit in the regular seats. Just screaming over. Everyone had to listen to him scream the whole time.
Motherfucker.
Yeah. Show business. It's the worst.
So, we're already running out of time. It's already over.
That's good. It's called Wetting. Ivan knows this. This is Podcasting 101. Whet the appetite with a H. Whet. It's tickling the tail of the tiger.
Were you happy when you got cast as Shake? Did you know how big of a deal it was, or did you think it was a small thing?
Well, I mean, it was a big thing to me because it was a cartoon.
You loved cartoons.
And I thought, this is going to be all. This was like my dream. I mean, when I was like in junior high, like we were talking about, we would do the announcements every day, and we would write like a little radio play to sell the yearbook. My friend Glenn and I, we would write this little sketch that was like, 30 to 1 minute long to be done during the announcements in the morning about be sure and buy your yearbook. And we would do like different themes. We did like a Gilligan's Island and a Hawaii 5-0. And I mean, everything we could think of, write a little script for it. And I used to, when I was real little, we'd make tapes, like audio, like little audio plays.
We made radio plays too.
Yeah. So this was like, seemed like my natural dream job.
Yeah.
And then I saw it. Dave and Matt I was in Las Vegas doing a burlesque show I wrote. So they came out to record me out there. And I think they got in trouble for going out there because they just booked it and didn't tell their bosses, like, we're flying to Vegas, and booked hotels. And I remember Matt like pulling his laptop out and showing me this picture. He's like, "That's you, man. That's your character right there." And I was like, kind of plain,
kind of simple.
Yeah, it was just Shake spinning like he was on a turntable. Like it was just, like
which was like a lot of animation. If something could turn around.
Yeah.
And there are like a couple of things in that first episode where it's like they did animation.
Yeah.
And Matthew Jenkins had to draw more than just one drawing.
Yeah.
Which was usually I would get drawings and I'd cut them up like paper dolls, and you'd move the arm, you'd move the head, and like that's how everything was made. But sometimes every blue moon there'd be some animation.
Yeah. And now those new ones they came out look
it's all
incredible because they're animating it all.
Yeah.
I wish they should do more of them, but they look so much better. Like just little things.
But we don't know if they're making more Aqua Teens.
Tune in next week.
Oh.
I got a dangle. That's called a dangler.
Man, you know all the words.
I got all podcast. I got Ivan sent me the PDF yesterday.
Was there a moment? Terms. Now I know me personally, nobody knew about this stuff for a really long time.
Oh my God.
And it wasn't until Family Guy and Futurama, which was like 5 years into Adult Swim, that everyone started watching, and Mike Lazo started taking out pages in Variety being like, we are a huge hit with this demo. And,
yeah. I remember like being in New York and no one still knew about it. My agents, nobody. They're like, and then once in a while you'd find somebody. I think how I got my agent at ICM, I was in a voiceover class to make a demo, right? To make a demo so that you could send it out. And there was a day then that an agent was coming in from ICM and they were going to listen to your demos, give you feedback on it. One of these scams they always do, pay me $300. I'll tell you why you stink. And the guy right before me, he looked like a downtown Wall Street finance bro guy, right? But he did a voiceover demo. He left, and we're like passing through the doorway, and I'm like, and he's like, "Oh, hi." So I'm like, "Oh yeah, sorry, no problem." And he leaves, and then I go in, and it's my time to sit down. They start playing the demo, and there's this pounding on the door. I'm there with the ICM agent. I'm there with the teacher, Marla Curbin. The door comes open, like, well, maybe he forgot something. And this guy comes back it was like I paid him. He was like, I'm sorry. Are you the voice of Master Shake and Aqua Teen Hunger Force? I said, yeah. He goes, that is my favorite show, and that is my favorite character. I've watched every episode. I have the DVD. I bought the t-shirt. That is awesome. You are incredible. I just had to say that. And then he leaves. And there was no better advertisement for this agent, because she was like, well, I guess you can come into my office tomorrow and we'll talk more about this. I was trying to stack it. I brought a DVD to give her. I was like, well, this will show her it's something. But of course, you look at it, it's like, the fuck is this? Nobody knows what the hell. But still, no one would know.
I had started to...
That was the only time.
I'd started to sell albums, and we gave the first 2 albums away for free. And then by the 3rd album, and I was working at William Street at that time, the 3rd album, we charged them, and I made $15,000 in one day or something. And Lazo popped his head into my office. He's like, he was giving a tour to like somebody from the 70s.
Someone from the Olive Garden or something. Lee Majors was coming through.
Yeah, something. And he's like, how's it going? I'm like, my album just made $15,000 in a day. And he's like, well, you're not going to be here very long, are you? And I wasn't. I left, maybe a year after that. And I was, had an agent and a booking agent.
You remember what you sold your album for? Like $20 or $10 or?
I don't know.
Probably on the conservative end, right? Because you're like
$10, yeah.
Yeah.
But then I went on tour, and it wasn't until I was on tour and I was going to people's houses and smoking weed with them that I'd see like Master Shake was just drawn all over the walls. And it was like, it had turned into like people's bedrooms and turned into their like lives. And I was like, oh, this is like the Ramones. This is like, this is like a big thing that's also invisible at the same time.
We talked about this before, but the weird thing about all of that is, even at its height, I don't know what its height, maybe its height is now, there's still like 95% of the population who has no clue what the fuck it is at all.
Yeah.
No, they have no clue what you're talking about. Maybe they know what Rick and Morty is.
Yeah.
Because it used to be like, oh, Adult Swim. Yeah, I love Family Guy. I'm like, well, it's not really.
I'm always in like the Disney parks or amusement parks. I'm trying to skip the lines and I'll be like, I am MCP Pants on Aqua Teen Hunger Force. And I just say, and my son, usually I don't want to do it. And my son will be like, can you try to do the Aqua Teen thing? Because it's gotten us onto like the Mario ride, which is always a 3-hour wait, like 3 times.
Whoa.
And, but recently I've been doing it and they're like, I don't know what that is. You can still skip the line because you're on television.
Because it's pathetic that you're doing this, and I feel really sad for your son.
Nobody talks to me, and I'm thankful that you came up.
How do they let you
read
skip
my
the
name
line?
tag? They just say "get in here," which happens all the time.
But I mean, like, get in where? Get into the line?
Go into the lightning lane line.
Oh, the lightning lane. Okay.
The ticket skipper line.
Yeah.
But these days I'll say I was on Aqua Teen Hunger Force and they'll be like, I don't know what that is. And I'll be like, those words sound stupid if you say them out loud and you don't know what it is.
Yep. Yes.
But I think we're at a point now where it's like the young kids who work at amusement parks have no idea what that is.
Yeah.
But in Hot Topic, there's an Aqua Teen shirt up with all the other shirts.
Do you think
so I think that,
do you think there's less stoners now? Because now it's just like, I'm a mom and I go get my CBD oil at the legal place.
I don't know about that. I think that there is a group of people that watched these shows. They were like anywhere from 13 to 18 years old, and they watched these shows for the first 5 years when they all first came out, and that is a period of time that is equivalent to like the hippies in the 60s or whatever. Right. They're just like, this is Woodstock. This is my important time. This will always be important content for me.
Good point.
And I don't know about new people getting into it because it is really rudimentary animation and humor. But at the time, when it first came out, there was nothing like it. There was no humor like it. There was no... And the structure of every show on Aqua Teen was always so strange and weird and didn't go anywhere and would always like not be satisfying in a way that television normally was. It would always be trying to fuck with you.
Yeah. It's like removing It's like usually in a sitcom, there'll be like an A story and a B story. It was like just the B story, but then without the ending.
Because I tried to write scripts, and there was never any instruction with, like, this is how an adult script is written. I bet there's classes that teach that now.
Probably now.
But back in the day, there was no form. It was just two guys who weren't stoned.
Yeah, a lot of people think they're always like, how, every con, they're like, how fucked up were you when you wrote this? And they're like, well, actually, asshole, we show up to work.
It's hard.
It's hard. We work very hard on it to make it seem.
Lazo made us rewrite this script 10 times.
Yeah. And if you think it's easy, where's yours? If it just took being fucked up, think how many incredible scripts there'd be in the world.
So I've been touring for 20 years. I'm still touring. I'm going to tour this summer. People still come to my shows, and they are still really big fans of this show. But I don't think they're still watching it. I think that they watched it.
It's a nostalgia.
And it means something to them.
You're going to be like the guy, Peter Noon from Herman's Hermits, whose audience now is like all in their 70s and 80s. That'll be you. Like when I go to a convention, the most majority now, they're all our same age. They're like 50-year-old guys with kids and bags under their eyes. They're like, man, those are the good old days.
I get a lot of kids who are like, I want an MC Chris. I want some MC Chris vinyl, and I want to give it to my dad.
For my dad, yeah.
For Father's Day. And that's why I'm here at this concert. And I'm like, that's great.
Yes. I got a lot of cameos for parents.
Did you like the show? It was
interesting.
It was okay.
I watched it with my dad. All of them? Not really. He really tried to get me into it. I hear that. Like, he really tried to get me into it.
Yeah,
but
the dad's pushing this stuff on our kids.
Didn't work.
So we're going to conclude the podcast. One thing that we want to do every week is we want to plug our stuff. So do you have any cons coming up?
I got a lot of eBay items I'm putting up.
I actually have an eBay sale that's going on right now.
Let me ask you a question.
Go to mcchris.com, click on garage sale.
How much did you sell your scripts for?
They would get into the hundreds.
Oh, because you would do bids. You do a bidding.
I start everything at $5, and then people would fight each other, and then it would go up.
I found a box of all my scripts, including the very first one.
Wait until times are tough.
I'm like, I gotta get rid of these.
But yeah, there's also the thing where it's like, that's how I'm getting rid of toys, because we don't play with toys in my house, and it just takes up shelf space, and so I need to get rid of all this stuff.
Got to get rid of all this shit.
But yeah, go check out my eBay sale at mcchris.com. But do you have any cons coming up? Anything coming up that you want to plug?
I don't know.
What was your record?
We're going to Miami soon. Miami, what is it? 14, 15, 16 for the Animate Miami.
February?
February. Oh yeah, February 14th, 15th, 16th. Now this won't be an evergreen. We've dated it.
Oh, that's okay.
Animate Miami.
We're not the first people.
I'll be the guy with the bright pink shoes and the orange and pink and yellow plaid shirt.
Easy to spot, but you're oftentimes not at your booth.
Listen, they schedule me for a lot of things. I got a lot of things I got to do.
In demand.
Yes, I'm running around.
I'm having lunch with Billy West.
That's right. Getting screamed at about not drinking Diet Coke because it kicks gorillas out of trees when they take the aspartame. A lot of important stuff.
So that's what's going on for right now.
Sure.
I have a new album coming out and a tour that I will be announcing in the month of February. Go ahead.
I know in March so I am in this theatrical production of a recreation of Alien Encounter from Disney World. It's a live theater experience where like you get goop all over you. It's like an old school horror show.
Where is this?
It is at the theater at Titmouse.
Oh, in LA.
Trepanney House in LA. It's been going on since October, and they keep extending it. It's extended into March now. But I play the little guy on the video who's the friendly alien who's going to beam down to you before the wires get crossed and then the monster shows up. If you don't know Alien Encounter.
Dana loves Disney so much. One time he saw me walking home and he picked me up and took me to breakfast. And I got in his car and it was playing music from one of the rides.
No doubt. It is right now, I'm sure. As soon as I go back in there.
Yeah, that's how much he loves it. And
love it.
But that Space Mountain song is pretty great.
You're not lying.
So yeah, those are all the things that we need to plug. If you would like to have an ad on this show, please contact us and Dana and I will read the copy. We'll create an ad for you.
Professional style.
Yeah, normally we would charge so much money for something like that. Oh my God,
you kidding?
But you'll get that at a much discounted
almost passed
price.
out over there. He's going delirious with the thoughts of how
Ivan,
much
we're almost done. Thank you for putting up with us, Ivan. But I think that's everything. You got anything else you'd like to say, Dana, before we go?
No, not like the normal clowns in here who never even say his name. They don't even look over at him. They just bark
Ivan's a
orders.
person too. Ivan, do you have something you want to plug? Your band?
You got a band or some? What's your Fortnite player name? We can throw that up there. Or your Twitch? Is it Twitch?
Twitch.
I don't know what any of these things are.
I have a Twitch. It's MC Chris on Twitch. All my social media accounts are on mcchris.com. Just click on social links.
I don't know what mine
and go check out my eBay. There's an Xbox for sale on my eBay because we're getting rid of that too. Those are all my plugs. But Dana, thank you so much for making time. I hope I brought you enough beverages.
Thank you for making time.
Did you go through both Cokes or just one?
No, I've got just about that much left in the second one.
That's amazing.
So,
they're tall boys. Okay, Dana, we'll see you next week.
All right. Thank you.
Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.